Every single price benchmark in Invermere, there's 6 categories: town and rural, single family townhouse, condo, every one of them went up year over year in May of 2026. And the single family benchmark in town hit 809,600. That is up 8.8% from last year. That's not a number you see very often in a region where sales are broadly slowing down. Here's what's behind it and what it means for anyone buying or selling in the Columbia Valley right now. Now, Invermere sits 2.5 hours west of Calgary. Lake Windermere, Purcell, and Rocky Mountains on both sides, Panorama Mountain Resort, Radium Hot Springs, a market that's been driven by Alberta recreational buyers for generations. That buyer profile changes everything about how you read this data. These aren't primarily people stretching to qualify for a mortgage on their only home. They're quite often established professionals or business owners using equity from Calgary primary residents. They've been thinking about the Columbia Valley for years when they decide to buy, and then they move decisively. And in a low inventory lifestyle market that pushes prices, the Kootenay region broadly had 267 total sales in May of 2026, and that is down 13.6%. Invermere single family volume was softer too, but prices running at nearly double the regional appreciation rate. That's the Alberta buyer effect. Now, there were 6 single family sales in Invermere in town in May. That is down 33.3% from last year. Benchmark price is 809,600, up 8.8% year over year. Fewer sales, much higher prices, classic constrained supply, strong demand dynamics. Sellers in Invermere who don't have to move aren't. And the buyers who are transacting are paying a premium because they want the Columbia Valley specifically, and there's no substitute. In dollar terms, 8.8% on an $800,000 base is roughly 66 grand in equity growth in 12 months. For context, the Kootenay regional average appreciation is 4.4%. Invermere is running at double that rate. It's the 3rd highest community in the Kootenay region for single family benchmarks, behind only Fernie at $1,029,000 and Invermere Rural at $801,800. The Columbia Valley commands a premium that the data consistently confirms. Now, the acreage story. There were 11 rural single family sales in May, down 21.4% in volume. Benchmark price $801,800. That's up 4.4% year over year. 11 sales is actually the most active single family category in the area. Rural is outperforming town in volume. That tells you that buyers are looking specifically for lake access, acreages, Purcell views. They know what they want and they're finding it and they're paying for it. Rural at $801,800 sits just below the in-town benchmark, which is one of those rare data points that tells you the Columbia Valley's premium is about setting, not the square footage. Buyers are paying for the valley itself, the lifestyle. Now, townhouses. In-town townhouses, 3 sales, up 50%. Benchmark is $532,700. That's up 1.6%. Rural townhouses, 5, up 66.7%. Benchmark price is $461,000, up 4.5%. Both categories posting sales growth of 50% or more at the same time. That's not noise. That's a buyer pool that has returned to the market and shifted toward the more accessible price points. The rural townhouse benchmark at $461,000 is particularly compelling. For $461,000, you're getting Columbia Valley lifestyle, mountain views, proximity to the lake, panorama nearby, and roughly $350,000 less than a single family home. For the lifestyle buyer who doesn't need a quarter acre, the math is very attractive. And the 4.5% appreciation on that benchmark tells you that the market is confirming that value. Now, in-town condos, 3 sales, up 50%. Benchmark price $395,700, up 3.3%. Rural condo, 5 sales, up 25%. Benchmark price, $307,300, up 4.6%. Every number is positive. Sales are growing, prices are appreciating, and the rural condo at $307,300, up 4.6%, is the most accessible entry point into the Columbia Valley lifestyle. Under $310,000, real estate in one of the most sought after recreational areas in Western Canada. That number is not permanent. For Alberta investors who've been watching Invermere every price category showing sales growth and appreciation is a meaningful signal. Now, the Bank of Canada rate was at 2.25, stayed at 2.25, and for the Invermere buyers specifically, many of them are buying with Calgary equity. Some are paying cash, others are leveraging against primary residences. The rate environment at 2.25% makes the carrying cost of a second property more manageable than it was at 5%. And that's unlocking purchases that were on hold. I think that's showing up in the 50+% sales growth across townhouse and condo categories. The buyer who was doing the math at 5% and said, not yet, they're pulling the trigger at 2.25 and saying now. Now, for buyers, this is not a deal hunting market. Sellers know what they have and they're patient. Single families at $809,600 in town, there's no negotiating. Not a lot anyways, below that benchmark. And buyers who are transacting are qualified and motivated. The opportunity is in the townhouses and the condos, particularly in the rural products. Rural townhouses at $461 and rural condos at $307,300 give you real access to the Columbia Valley at prices that work more for the buyers. Those categories are moving, however. Sales are up significantly, so don't sleep on them, okay? If you want it could be time. Now, get in there and get pre-approved. Know your numbers. With only 6 single-family sales in town per month, the right property moves faster than you'd expect. Now, for sellers, every benchmark category is up year over year. All 6 categories, town, rural, that's your foundation. Price it confidently, but accurately. Don't overdo it. The buyers who are active in this market have seen every comparable. They know the benchmark. Pricing above it will cost you time. The rural listings especially, you need drone footage of the lifestyle on the lake, the mountains. The setting is not optional. The Alberta buyer who hasn't visited needs to see it and feel it. Your marketing needs to do that work. Now here you go. Here's my honest take. All 6 benchmarks with being positive. Townhouses and condos, sales surging, single family pricing in at 8.8% appreciation. The Alberta buyer has returned to the Columbia Valley and is paying up across every category. If you've been watching Invermere and waiting, the data shows that patience has not been rewarded. The benchmark doesn't pause while you think about it. And for the complete Kootenay regional picture, click on the video on the screen now, and I'll see you in there.